at Koaloha. If you look at our name even and just cut it down the middle, it is Koa and Aloha smushed together. And before we can even get Koalo, it's the only type of acacia that can only grow in Hawaii, only be found here in Hawaii. Which is why when we go and get our koa, it has to grow at an elevation of at least 2,000 feet for about 40 to 50 years just for one trunk. We also wait for the trees to fall down naturally on the Big Island, so we don't cut down the koa trees here. Actually, no one here does unless you want an angry mob of people out here. So after that tree falls down, we bring it here into the milling section. Here we have a billet. This billet is this rectangular piece that we're simply going to book match. Book matching would be cutting it down long ways, so just like a book, we can open it up right here, have pages and a spine. Notice with that we have a beautiful symmetrical sheet that we're going to glue down the middle and clamp with an acrylic mold. And with this sheet we can flip it around and have something totally different. Notice with this side though we have knots in the wood. That's something that we would consider a cosmetic blemish. Cosmetically blemished ukuleles are discounted hundreds of dollars and sold right here in the showroom. If not, they're going to be destroyed immediately if they affect our sound, or used here as an example. But anything that's not is going to be distributed all over the world. Go ahead and take a look at this koa. I have another piece of koa right here. This is just a scrap, but go ahead and take a look. Not only is it beautiful sound-wise and it's exclusive to Hawaii, but naturally the colors are always very different. We also have sometimes curly koa. That's that natural holographic effect, almost looks wet, and that's what we call curliness. A lot of times more expensive ukuleles or custom ukuleles will have curly koa fully. With customs, you can design them from the bottom up. That's anything out of normal production line. And here you can see it's not necessarily better than the normal wood right here that we use for production, but it is a little bit more rare. So go ahead and take a look. It's completely flat, but looks like it should have texture.
It's pretty.
So that, let's take a look at this curly koa. Kind of move it in the light and see those curls just like that. It's beautiful. And that is all natural. Just a little bit more light. Thank you. You know, you guys are also feeling how light this wood is. So you can just imagine how light the wood is there. But after we glue it down the middle, you can see we clamped it. We have something that moves like one solid piece. This is a book match piece again with koa. Again, super different in beauty from the other piece we were looking at. It's so gorgeous. Go ahead and take a look at that book match sheet. Super light, but make a really excellent clipboard, I'd say. Alright, so after we're done here in the milling section, we're going to move on right behind you guys to the body section. Alright, welcome to the body section. Here, what looks like a deep fryer, unfortunately is not. It's what we're going to use to boil thin strips of wood for about 15 to 20 minutes. When we boil the wood, it expands the grain, makes it really nice and pliable. So when it's in that state, they're going to turn on this blowtorch, get that hollow pipe really nice and hot, and they bend the thin strips of wood by hand. What that does afterwards is it produces our signature Koaloha mustache. Go ahead and take a picture.
Are any of you folks Mike McQueen's friend? No, none of you folks? Mike McQueen?
Mike
From
McQueen?
Atlanta?
Oh, you mean Mike Jim?
Mike Jim.
Oh, you call him Jim? Yeah, we call
Yeah.
him
Oh yeah, from
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
them.
Yeah, it's
that.
a.
Welcome. He just told me to say hello to you folks.
Ah, okay.
I know he was just live before.
He was
we got
live
in
before
here.
we came in. We told him we were here.
Yeah.
We're about to take the tour.
Oh, good. Good, good.
He told us to say hi to you guys.
All right, have a good time, folks.
So after they make these nice little Koaloha mustaches, feel free to take a look too. Take a picture with it if you'd like. They're going to dry on these acrylic molds. You can see that acrylic comes back every so often. Every one of these over 300 steps in the Koaloha process was produced from scratch by pots. So after they're placed out of the shell, thank you very much. After they're placed out of that mold, we have a nice little face frame right here. Go ahead and take a look too. On every face frame, we have a head block and a tail block. Not only do we have a head block, but on the head block, we have engraved the month and the year that the body was produced. With the Koaloha, you get a lifetime warranty, and we can know exactly which lot that your body came from because of this right here. Go ahead and take a look too. We keep the grain at the seam, so this all looks like one solid piece. Go ahead and take a look. Here's also koa. These are both koa or tenors, but they're totally different from each other. Keep in mind, these are blemished in a way that would affect their sound. That one's pretty prominent, that one has a crack on the side. Which is why instead of destroying them, we're going to use here as an example. So after the other side is made sure to be flat, we carefully place on that front book match piece. Inside here though is where all the magic happens. You notice that unibrace right here. And you also notice that it's a lot emptier in comparison to other instruments. A lot of other instruments will use this sort of cruffling binding. That's where they glue that teeth-like wooden bracing along the corners of the front and back. Makes a lot of sense to keep it all together. For the ukulele though, Pops invented a unibrace right here. That unibrace touches the crevices of the inside of the body, creating an even more solid base. because we're not gluing in all this extra wood now, there's extra room for sound to vibrate instead. That's why from our smallest model, not only is it much stronger, but it's so much louder and resonant than many brands with their biggest size. All because that unibrace right there. Thank you very much. Alright. Thank you. Feel free to take a look. They're also going to add a wide bracing along the widest part of the body. It's so strong too that when I first came here on the factory tour, it was Pops himself was hosting it, and he would put the body on the ground and jump on it. Oh wow. Full grown man. Yeah. Please do not jump on the Koaloha. That's not covered by the warranty. But it is very strong. And then after we carefully place on our back foot match piece, you can see here the symmetry and the beauty and the grain is going to match the front piece as well. So it's cohesive symmetry all around, just like how we meet the grain at the seams right here. Go ahead and take a look at these expensive birdhouses.
That's why it's so light.
Yes, exactly. As a final touch, you notice this blunt edge at the top. That's normally what ukuleles feel like all around. That's what gives you that crease in your forearm after you play. With your Koaloha, if you feel our edges, they're rounded and smooth for comfortability.
Nice.
So not only are you not going to get those creases on your forearm, but you're going to learn much faster. That blue tape, this one somehow was blemished. Like both these bodies, yeah, the bracing, something was wrong. Not for sure. So instead of destroying these two, we're going to use them here as an example. But go ahead and feel this for reference too. That's normally what gives you that crease. Notice it's almost like you never want to stop petting our bodies just because it's so soft. You can also barely tell that these are separate pieces glued together. The end goal for all these steps is to make it look like it was one solid piece from the start. Somehow we found a tree that just produced these. Alright. Isn't that beautiful?
Remind me of woodwork back in school.
Yeah. I mean, it basically is like advanced woodwork. Alright, so after we're done here in the body section, we're going to move on to assembly right there.
How long do we have to stay in the plants? How long do we have to stay in that?
Those cups are overnight.
Oh, so it's just overnight.
Yeah. And then they're going to be popped out and have that nice little rim right there. Relatively fast. You'll notice they put clamps and acrylic molds. Yeah. So after they're done with that whole body, oh, look at this beautiful ukulele soprano right there. But Deuce here is going to assemble, and what he's assembling is our mahogany next to the koa body. You can see here that the simple grain in the mahogany really helps the koa to contrast. We're also going to taper the back of the neck, just like how we round off and smooth all the edges on the body. On the other side, we have a beautiful ebony fretboard. That deep, rich tone in the wood you see is totally natural. We don't paint any of our woods, just like that natural ebony shell right here. After that's placed on, he's also going to carefully put a placement marker for the bridge with blue painter's tape. And up here, he's going to cover that with blue painter's tape. And then once that's all done, he's going to pass it on to Ben right here. What Ben does is he varnishes 9 to 12 coats of clear conversion varnish. We're going to see the spray room in just a little bit and pass by it. But in between every 3 or 4 coats, he has to wait for it to dry, sand it and buff it down, and inspect it under that bright light on the wall right there. I bet. So you can see that varnish is totally clear, and Ben totally knows what he's doing. And he has, oh nice, pictures. But in the meantime, in the middle of his pictures, he also has to make sure that there's no blemishes that are magnified. Although that varnish really magnifies the beauty, it's also gonna really bring out all the hairline scratches, dust, pimples in the varnish. So if he sees any of that, he's gonna have to sand it all off and restart. So Ben has to take about a day and a half for that varnishing process. Yep.
So the 9 coats of it.
Yeah, exactly. So the 9 to 12 coats is done in 3 to 4 coat increments. Very tedious process. And what you get after that though is not only an instrument that's beautifully shiny, it's not going to yellow, not going to crack, it's also scratch resistant, water resistant, and dust resistant. We're going to stuff the inside of the body before spraying those, so please don't use this as a paddle.
It's pretty.
Wow.
This is
So smooth.
also a soprano koa. So basically you notice that these are all koa, but they look totally different from each other. Go ahead and bring out another soprano just for reference. Both koa right there. That's gorgeous, isn't it? Alright, so after we're done here, we're going to move on. Say bye to Deuce, say bye to Ben right there. And go on into the small parts room. You can give him a spare bet. Yeah, perfect. Thank you. All right, welcome to the small parts room. Feel free to come on in here. It's a little more air conditioned. But back here we have the spray room. That's where Ben does 9 to 12 coats of clear conversion varnish. Filled with chemicals, so we're not going to go in there. But that machine that you hear going on is the laser machine. That's what we use to create a little divot of the Koaloha logo into our headstock. Go ahead and feel those tiny little channels. You guys like sushi? Yep. I love sushi. This is an abalone shell, which you've probably seen in the sushi bar, but much tinier. This is from Australia, real abalone shell. Her works in California, gets these, smashes them down, puts one side with epoxy, coats the other side with black resin. So what we get is an abalone shell basically in form. Go ahead and prepare it before and after. Thank you. Isn't that so? Just like our ukuleles, that's just a magnified version of organic material. I believe they call it pawa in Australia.
Oh, that's pretty neat.
Wow.
Although it's beautiful, the dust of abalone is actually very poisonous. So you have to be really careful when sanding these down especially. Some tribes used to collect the dust from abalone and throw it in the animate spaces. Yeah, I'll save you guys some dust. But after they make those sheets, they're going to carefully use that engraver again to make even tinier pieces out of the shell and place those pieces in by hand. Notice here you can still see the jagged shell edges, burn marks, and glue marks. Because you have to sand down smooth. You can see why a lot of people think we take that on. It's totally natural. Place it by hand. Yeah, it's a pretty funny compared before now.
Wow, look at that.
That is so smooth.
Really nice. Here's that before.
With more expensive ukuleles, such as our customs that we were kind of talking about, they get the same handcrafted logo up here, but what they get in addition are those wings on the top. That has to be cut out by hand, because for custom ukuleles, they have to use thick sheets of real shell. And that laser engraver does crackle shell, which is why they have to cut it out by hand. But you still get that beautiful Koaloha logo. This is wings. Live. But you can see here, that headstock here is also bookmarked. So if you look downward, it's two separate pieces of wood. Just like our symmetrical front faces and back faces.
Look at that.
Yeah, they meet that. Thank you.
Wow.
Before we move on, I'm going to show you guys some fretboards. So we were talking about this earlier. Ebony wood is the wood we use for our fretboards, and that is a totally natural wood tone that you see. On the other side, we have, of course, our frets. And Pops invented a machine that once you slide the ebony wood in, immediately creates all these slits in that exact measurement, depending on size. Yeah. And once that's created, they get the fret wire, cut the fret wire, and they hammer in each fret wire, as well as those abalone center markers right there. As an extra step too, go ahead and peel the edge when I pass this around. You have frets, but you also have these sharp little wires that might scratch you or poke you, which is why we round off and smooth every edge of every fret wire here at Koaloha. We also add a very thin ebony binding, the same wood as your fretboard, to sort of further that smoothness. After they kill the frets, which is those tiny little gaps sometimes that are detectable, after they kill that, it's basically a very smooth surface. Not only going to be comfortable, but much easier to learn on. Go ahead and take a look. Compare before and after. When you run your finger down, you can just feel that small but very big difference. It's a little hard to play in this step, but go ahead and try.
There, you can see the difference.
Oh yeah.
Big differences. Many brands will actually keep it like this, so although you have to, much different experience. And what you see TJ doing back there on that table is after that varnishing process is all dry, you remember how we put blue painter's tape on where the bird normally is? I connected the depth.
Mm-hmm.
And then after that's dried, when you feel that blue painter's tape, it's almost smooth to the touch. And then what he does here is carves it out, exposing the raw wood so you can actually see before and after that varnishing, and then continue with that ebony grid. Just like that fretboard above on the higher part of the body, there's no thin layer of varnish in between.
Here, come this way.
Yeah, how come this this side? There we go.
So a lot of people are surprised to hear that that grid placement is actually one of the last steps in the Koaloha process. That grid is holding the most tension on your string, so it has to adhere the best, which is why we're going to make sure we take off that blue painter's tape again. Alright, so after we're done here, we'll move on to the small parts of it. Oh yeah, here we are. This is my favorite because look at this. Oh my goodness. Not only do you have a beautiful instrument, you have a nice little mirror to look at. Look how shiny that is. So that's that 9 to 12 coats of clear conversion varnish. You just saw TJ. What he did was add on that bridge piece. When it comes in here, it still has that blue painter's tape up here. That's what they're gonna have to get a razor blade for, to remove the blue painter's tape, exposing that fretboard. It also exposes that synthetic tusk material right here. It's called the nut. With the nut, it simply provides the channel for the strings to go down into the bridge. After it's pegged up and strung, however, right here, Jonah, we'll get a notch or a pen file and notch that nut. That's where he adjusts those tiny 4 crevices to a certain height and angle, and what that produces is Koaloha's signature action level. Action is that level that the strings come off of the fretboard. Because Jonah's adjusting it by hand, we can assure that it's perfectly low, where you don't have to put in any effort to press a note. So in combination with our rounded and smooth edges, it's a very comfortable experience. For beginners to learn much faster on, advanced players will simply advance more. Yeah, go ahead and take a look.
And how long have these folks been doing this?
Actually, Jonah is by trade a musician and a teacher, and we both started around the same time. We both have been working here about 5 months now.
Oh, okay.
I believe, yeah. But a lot of people in here will be musicians just because they are the final people to know which ones sound like Koaloha.
Right, yeah.
But all the people you've seen in there have been working there for long.
That's what I got the impression.
Yeah,
Family
exactly.
business.
It is a
and
family.
very-
Yep, exactly. I think one of the guys you saw in there was the grandson of Pops.
Oh,
So
wow.
it's continuing. Yeah. And Pops is actually still working in the shop right now.
Oh, jeez.
But those acrylic tuning pegs you see in the back are marbled, and we engrave both sides of each tuning peg. It looks very delicious too, which is why we call it Koaloha candy. On the tenors, however, you notice that the tuning pegs come out on the sides.
Right.
Those are gear tuning pegs. All that is it provides more support for the higher tension. Unfortunately, it didn't come in Koaloha candy colors, but we still have that Koaloha logo on it.
That is beautiful.
Isn't that? Thank you. Yeah, this concert is beautiful. So this is the final step before Jonah and Lindsay here are going to decide which ones are factory specials and not. Factory specials are simply cosmetically blemished, nothing to do with sound again. It can be as simple as when we're removing that blue painter's tape, if that blade nicks the varnish, it's immediately discounted about $400 to $400. And after that though, if it's not a factory special, it's going to be tacked up right here and shipped all around the world. The ones that are, simply move on into that showroom. Alright, so after we're done here, we're going to say bye to Jonah, bye to Lindsay. Just like the factory specials, move on. Magic trick. Alright, you guys are probably going to experience it a little differently in here. These are all factory specials, so you know exactly what has to happen before they can even come out here. Over 300 steps, and now we have our beautiful Koa line. Yeah, go ahead and try these all out. These are our Acacia line. So for 2 years in Thailand, we went back and forth training them to do exactly what you just saw. But right there, so they have a clone of our factory where they get acacia wood directly and produce the exact same instrument, but just a different, more affordable line. Go ahead and compare. Let me know if you have any more questions.
All right, thank you.
No problem.